Hi, you're watching Bent TV. My name's Simon. I'm joined by three friends from an organisation called SensWide. Tristan, Mary and Rebecca. They all work as employment consultants on a programme called WorkingOUT, which is specifically for the LGBTI community. Perhaps you could just tell us a little bit more about it to start us off.
So we offer specialist employment services to the LGBTI community who might be facing barriers to accessing employment or education. And we've got 5 consultants in the team, and we all have backgrounds in community services, mental health, and employment services. We've been doing this for 2 years.
Cool. And roughly how many clients would you be working with at any given time?
Almost at this point in time, we're servicing around 89 participants at the moment.
Mm-hmm. And they're all from the LGBTI community?
Yes.
What are some of the challenges that the clients that present face?
I guess it would vary, obviously, depending on how they identified. For some of, our gay participants, it might be health-related, it might be mental health-related as well. Then I guess for some of our trans and gender diverse-related, that could be related to social stigma, and also, I guess, depending on whatever part of their transition they're going through, and I guess adapting their current skills to what they previously might have had, and just records that are surrounding that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Could you share maybe some stories of some of the clients you've worked with successfully?
Yeah, definitely. So considering we work with quite a vast range of participants, we have been quite successful and within the gay community for people who have HIV status. We have partnerships with Victorian AIDS Council. And we've been seeing a lot of people who initially thought after their diagnosis that they would never be able to return back to work actually contact us. So in some cases we've had people who've had an employment gap of 5 to 10 years, mm-hmm. And we've been quite successful in supporting them and building their skill set to then identify some suitable work that they're able to transition into.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Was it the Victorian AIDS Council or was it Living Positive?
With Living
Positive Victoria, yeah.
As well.
So we have a partnership with Living Positive Victoria.
Mm-hmm.
I guess some of the things that I've noticed working in the team has been social isolation. So a lot of my participants face issues with their mental health, and they might not have access to anyone in their community, so there's a bit of a disconnect for them. So getting back into work can be a bit of a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the most recent placements I had was a woman who identifies as a lesbian living with schizophrenia, and I was able to place her into employment at a local cafe, and she's improved quite significantly, mm-hmm. Seeing really positive results with her. So I think it does a lot for your mental health to be engaged in employment, regardless of mm-hmm. how you identify or what your barrier may be. Mm-hmm. I think it's really important to be able to have access to work.
It's the same, I think, also for the trans community as well, because to have that kind of social acceptance gives them a sense of worth, and they remain quite isolated as well and keep it to themselves or just within the trans community. And I think it's really important for them to be able to experience and be part of the broader community and have that acceptance, whether that be through employment or education.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Do you have to spend time educating employers?
Yes.
Yeah,
definitely.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Can you tell us about some of the experiences you've had there?
I suppose the most common thing is working with some of our trans and gender diverse participants. I can recall a certain case where I provided quite a lot of support to an individual around the anxiety around entering into an interview panel, because in most cases this participant would walk in and then they would automatically be seen by the panel, and then the panel would just be uncomfortable and move around and not know what to say and do, and this participant just thought, I would never have an opportunity to have a proper interview. So we implemented a strategy where I would actually make that initial contact with that employer, and then on with their permission, disclose and give them a bit more information and education around trans and gender diverse, and talking about pronouns and the way in which that you communicate. So that next interview that participant went to was successful, and they ended up getting into work. So, and the confidence that participant had after that was just fantastic. So throughout that process, I had previous conversations with employers, and I suppose working from a person-centred approach, some employers were probably not as receptive or welcoming. So in most cases, I would definitely not be recommending anyone work within that type of environment. So I suppose we kind of sit back and gauge some employment environments and also employers to see whether some of our participants would be suitable working for them.
I think it's really important to be a bit strategic about where you're going to be potentially placing your participant. So I personally will utilise the Globe directory, or if I'm looking at a website, I'll look out for a diversity and inclusion policy. And I'm pretty spoiled in that I'm living in the north, so the north side is a bit of a hub for queer and trans people.
Better than the south, isn't it?
And
I'm from the south though, so I actually think it's fine.
So I can utilise a lot of my contacts in the north side to create employment opportunities as well.
Just not wanting to dwell on the negative, have you had any really adverse reactions when you've contacted an employer?
I had one incident where everything was going really well up until the point of the interview, and my participant wasn't successful. And I contacted the employer and asked why. And he said, she was great, but we've just picked someone else. And I was pressing, and I knew that it was because she identified as transgender.
The complications behind that as well can obviously happen once they're in employment. They might, I guess, present not as femininely as what they might once they've started to actually transition. So they might have been employed and then they start to transition. And the complexity behind that, obviously, of adjusting for the employer and the employees to, I guess, approach that in a respectable and professional manner can often be quite complicated.
So maybe a timing issue.
When dealing with employers, the biggest thing that I've come across is education, or just giving awareness so that they can have an understanding. Because in most cases it comes down to fear. So if you're able to give or relieve that anxiety excuse me, from an employer, it definitely helps with that employment environment.
We're out of time, so very quickly, if anybody's interested in using your service, where should they go?
Yeah, definitely jump onto our website, www.senswide.com.au, or shoot us an email at info@senswide.com.au.
You can also find us on Facebook as well, so just check out WorkingOUT.
Thanks very much. Thanks, guys. Thanks very
Thank
much.
you.
You've been watching Vent TV. We'll see you next time.